Hi, my name's Sandra Majetic, and my presentation is Osteoporosis in Women, Stopping the Break Before It Happens. I do have a PowerPoint that will follow this, along with a game and role play and a quiz. Some facts about osteoporosis. As we get older, the tissue in our bones become thinner, and we start to develop small holes in the tissue. And when this happens, it weakens our bones and increases our risk for fractures. Osteoporosis affects 10 million Americans over the age of 50, but it can also affect younger adults. The lifetime risk of a woman developing a fracture due to osteoporosis is 40 to 50%, and the number of fractures are expected to increase over the next 50 years, which is kind of scary. In older adults, hip fractures can be very life-changing. One, they lose their independence because of the hip fracture. They're in the hospital. Sometimes they get complications from that. And then once you have a hip fracture, you have to have rehab, and sometimes you need to go to an acute rehab. Or if you can't make it to an acute rehab, you'll have to be placed into a skilled nursing facility. So you've lost independence. They lose independence because of fear. I mean, when you fall and you break your hip, the last thing you want to do is to go out and maybe possibly fall again and break another bone. It also can be deadly in an older adult. 1 out of 5 people who sustain a hip fracture will die within a year of sustaining that hip fracture. So that's kind of scary. But the good news is osteoporosis can be preventable and treatable. Stages of osteoporosis. Here's a slide that shows the normal bone with the tissue with a little bit of holes in it, which is normal. The second slide to it is osteoporosis at the beginning stages. You can see that the bone tissue is starting to thin. There's some small holes developing. And then the last one, severe osteoporosis, where you can see there's very little tissue there. It's mostly holes. And that bone is very, very fragile, and you can see why it would not take much to fracture your bone at that point. So risk for osteoporosis. What are your risks? Having a relative who has had a fracture due to osteoporosis is going to increase your risk. If you've had a total abdominal hysterectomy before the age of 45, and that means that the ovaries were removed, so you have no estrogen, or you started menopause before the age of 45 and have not received hormonal replacement therapy of estrogen, which really is not recommended today, that puts you at risk. If you're on oral or inhalation steroid therapy for 3 or more months, especially our patients with COPD, if your loved one has COPD or asthma, and that's why I said younger people. There's many young women out there that have asthma who are on steroid inhalant therapy, so they are at risk. If you're being treated for hyperthyroidism or hyperparathyroidism, if you're on a transplantation program and you haven't had your transplant yet, the stress from waiting for the transplant on your body and the medications can put a toll on your bones. Having rheumatoid arthritis or other abnormalities of the spine. If you've had cancer and received radiation and chemotherapy. If you smoke, that can increase a risk for osteoporosis. Heavy alcohol consumption, and that's considered more than 2 drinks several times a week. Increased caffeine consumption. We all drink coffee, tea, sodas or pops that are high in caffeine. I know I like chocolate. It has caffeine. So large amounts of coffee drinking and things with caffeine, eating caffeine and drinking caffeine can increase your risk. And being underweight, believe it or not, can increase your risk. So what are the screening tests out there for you? check for osteoporosis? Well, there's 3. The first one is your bone mineral density testing, and this is either done by X-ray or ultrasound. The DXA, or the dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, measures the bone density, mineral density in your hip, your lower lumbar spine, and actually in your forearm. The quantitative ultrasound does the same thing. It measures the bone mineral density, but it does it in the heel of your foot only. Then there's the fracture risk assessment, or the FRAX. And this basically is just an assessment tool that is done with you, that's put into a computer. It takes all your risk factors along with your bone mineral density number that you get, and it calculates what your risk for fractures is in the next 10 years. And then there is blood testing that can be done, which is a vitamin D and serum calcium level, just to see what your vitamin D and calcium levels are in your body. Calcium makes your bones strong, but in order for you to absorb the calcium, you need vitamin D. So they kind of go hand in hand, so that's a good test to have done. Here you can see a table with the screenings, when they should be done in the age. Your bone mineral density testing is recommended every 2 years for women 65 years and older. Postmenopausal women and younger women that have positive risk factors, also should have it done every 2 years. That's the recommendation. Also, as an initial baseline test, it should be done on anybody who's placed on a transplant program, and then every year until they get their transplant. The fracture risk assessment is an initial screening. It's usually for women 50 to 64 years of age. And like I said, it just determines what your 10-year risk factor will be for fractures. And then your vitamin D and your calcium serum levels. Again, that's an initial screening. It can be done on women from 50 to 65 years or older. It can be done on younger women. So those are the tests that you can have done to screen to see what your risk for osteoporosis is. But how do we prevent it or decrease our risk for it? Well, we can't change what diseases we have. We can't change that our relatives have had osteoporosis and fractures, but we can develop a healthy lifestyle that will promote and maintain healthy, strong bones. And we can also help our children and grandchildren, especially the girls, develop healthy lifestyles too, so that they don't have to worry about osteoporosis and fractures. And this can be done through lifestyle changes, dietary changes, exercise, environmental changes, and then I'm going to go over some promoting healthy bones in our children, what we can do there. And of course, the screening is so important. So lifestyle changes. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you do smoke, quit. There are so many different medications out there, patches, pills, that can help you overcome the addiction to smoking. So please talk to your doctor about that. If you consume alcohol, only have 1 drink a day. And a drink a day, 1 drink equals a 12-ounce beer, a 5-ounce glass of wine, or a 1.5 ounce of an 80 proof distilled liquor. You want to maintain a healthy weight. You don't want to be underweight. I know today with all the media and, body image and thin is beautiful, being a normal weight is really important for your body type, and that talk to your doctor and see what your normal weight should be, and if you're maintaining a good weight. Your bones really need the nutrients from your diet, and being underweight, they're not getting it, and so you're putting yourself at risk. And then talk to your doctor too about different medications that you may be taking and if they can cause your bone tissue to thin and weaken. You also want to talk to them about screening, especially if you're on those type of medications that can affect your bones. Also, if you've had a total abdominal hysterectomy or menopausal before 45, definitely you want to talk to them about it. Diet changes. We really need to eat foods high in calcium, and there's so many foods out there. Milk and orange juice is now fortified with calcium. There's cereals and oatmeal that's fortified. Yogurt and cheese are great snacks to have. Leafy green vegetables, broccoli, turnip greens, soybeans, tofu, salmon and sardines, cheese pizza. The list goes on. And we need to get enough vitamin D because, like I said, calcium and vitamin D work hand in hand. And so it's really important that you get enough of your vitamin D. And that can be found in fortified milk or juices. Sunshine provides us with some vitamin D, but it's not going to give you enough to give you what you need. So taking a multivitamin would be a good thing to do. 400 IUs is usually what they recommend in a multivitamin. But definitely go out and get some sunshine because not only will you get some vitamin D, but it's going to make you feel good too. Exercise. Get up and get moving. Moving is going to keep your bones strong and healthy. You want to participate in physical activity at least 30 minutes every day. Now, for people who have breathing problems, if you have COPD or if you have asthma, certain times of the year you're not going to be able to do 30 minutes straight. Or if you have rheumatoid arthritis, 30 minutes might be too much. You can break it down into increments of 10 minutes or even 5 minutes on those days where you're really pushing yourself. But do it so that you get a total of 30 minutes throughout the day. Did you know gardening will help strengthen your bones and it'll help you relax? It's something that a lot of people love to do, and it actually does help you in more ways than one. Participate in strength training activities at least 2 to 3 times a week. And did you know dancing and Tai Chi not only help strengthen your bones, but they help with your coordination and balance, which is really important to prevent falls. Now, let's talk about falls. And with falls, we need to do environmental changes because as we get older, the chances of us falling increase. So it's really important to make sure that our homes and our environment's safe. So how can we do this? Make sure that your throw rugs and runners, that you remove them so that you can't trip over them or slip. Removing items from areas where you walk or on the stairs so you don't trip. Basically, remember, clutter-free zones. You don't want clutter that you can trip over. You want to make sure you have lights in your staircases and that you use brighter light bulbs throughout your house. And don't forget the handrails. If you're feeling a little off balance or you're tired, use the handrail going up. There's nothing wrong with that. Put grab bars in your bathroom, especially in your showers and your tubs, so that you have something to grab on to. And the gripping on the bottom of your tubs and that so that you don't slip. Also, put grab bars next to your toilet. Make sure items aren't outside of your reach. Make sure everything is within reach so that you don't have to get a step stool, or a chair is definitely a no-no. So make sure they're at eye level or arm level where you can reach. And most importantly, make sure that your shoes are good support shoes and that they have non-slip soles on them. And then at night, when you take your shoes off and you're walking around in slippers, that your slippers are non-slip. I said I just touched base on promoting healthy bones in our children, because really, if we instill in them healthy things about eating and activity now, then it's going to help in the future for them. So it's really important for young children to eat healthy foods and to have them participate in physical activity at least an hour a day. Teenagers, they actually require an increase in calcium in their diet due to growth spurts. So snacks such as yogurt and cheese are really great for them. Pizza, cheese pizza especially, is a food they love to eat, and it's really good for them. It's important, though, to make sure in this age group, especially the girls, that they don't participate in extreme physical activities and under eating, so that they maintain their body image that media has so distorted. Because if you put those two together, the undereating and the extreme physical activity, it can cause them to have weakened bones. And in this time of video games and cell phones and computers, it's so important to stress the need to get them up and participate in some physical activity. Otherwise, we are going to see that increase in fractures in the next 50 years. If you're going to buy video games, many of them have now activities like the Wii has Just Dance and that. Get that for them. That way they're doing a video game, but they're also doing physical activity too. Now, let's have some fun. I've handed you out a osteoporosis prevention quick reference guide and a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. I'd like you to take a quick quiz just to see where we're at. We can do it out loud. And then let's play a game. It's called Osteoporosis Jeopardy, and it's played like the TV game. And then if I had a small group, I would do role playing. Thank you for coming to this presentation. I hope it was informative and you learned a lot about osteoporosis. Thank you.